fairly on the end of a points decision defeat to Ekow Essuman. How did you score the fight?
I thought Essuman by 2. I had Essuman 1 up going into the last and thought he just won the last as well, just shaved the last. So I had Ekow 7-5.
What did Josh need to do you feel, looking back at it, to turn that defeat into a victory?
I just think it's hard to to put your finger on it, but I think it was plain to see. I think Ekow took over from 6, if that makes sense. I think, probably won 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I think Josh needed to. I think Josh stopped letting his hands go. I think you'll know that when he watches it back. I think he stopped letting his hands go in the middle part and stopped holding the centre of the ring. Once he started going back against the ropes and standing up tall, I think he could have had a little bit more success. So that's the way it's going to fight.
Is that fitness? Is that age? What is that?
I couldn't tell you. Could have been fitness, could have been age, could have been the weight. I mean, he goes in that to 147. Josh's first fight at 147. So I don't know. Could have been anything. Yeah, could have been age. I don't know. Could have been any meat. Yeah.
Ekow did suggest at the weigh-in that maybe Josh was tight at the weight, which seems surprising considering it's him moving up. Was there anything about?
No, I don't mean tight in the weight. He was not tight in the weight at all. He's far from tight. I'm on the opposite side to it. Right. I'm on about Josh maybe not being big enough. The longer the fight goes, the natural weight he goes small, quite thick. Josh looked big in there, but it's a bit different, being a natural 147. So that's what I was on about with it.
I guess the direct question here is whether Josh has a future, and that won't be decided in boxing right now, but do you still see Josh having success if he does choose to continue?
I don't know, but like I said, there's just that many things. That's a Josh transfer. I'm not getting involved in that, but if he doesn't fight again, he's what's on the channel, he's won every belt there is in boxing, so if he retires, good luck to him. If he doesn't, good luck to him.
Liam, what's Josh been saying in there?
No, he's gutted. Obviously, I think he's mentioned the wide scorecard a little bit. He's just, I think, he's lost the fight. So, regardless, I think he's going to be gutted to either way. And at what stage of his career he's lost, so he'll be gutted. I don't know. How would you score it?
I had a draw, but I thought if anyone wanted it was Essuman.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I agree. I wouldn't argue with that. I thought Essuman just nicked it. It's kind of open if Josh wins the last. I'd rather a draw and there's kind of open. He might have got one of the rounds being the own fight. Just that's the things you think of. But yeah, you can't argue with the results.
Just away from tonight, it's been obviously a few weeks now since your fight with Aaron McKenna. How do you reflect on that, and have you any thoughts about what's next, what's moving forward? Yeah, no, I've just had a little rest with my girls. I've had a horrendous 2 years since losing to Eubank. Out injured. Just a long time out the ring, and again, just couldn't really get going in the fight. Just nothing to do with anything else. I just could not get going into the fight. Couldn't get me teeth into the fight. And before I knew the fight was over, it's one of them. So again, I'll have a little think about what I do next myself, and when I sit down properly, I'll see what's what. But then I've had a good little rest. I've been on holiday with 2 little girls, and I've been back in the gym. So see what happens. If the phone goes, if I get a fight anytime soon by September, I'll maybe take it. If it goes a long time at the ring again, then I'll be done. And you say yourself you couldn't get going, but where does Aaron McKenna rank in the fighters you faced? He was a good fighter. He won hands down. So he's good. I don't really know how to answer the question you asked me. Where does he rank? I can't say he's probably the 3rd best fighter I fought. I can't really rank him like that. He can go on. I don't even know. I don't know what way you want me to answer it. What can he beat? Just that you've been in with world level fighters. Would you say he's a world level fighter? No. Like I say, that speaks volume for me because I lost hands down. So, but no, not yet. Whether he can go on to B1, we'll see. But I don't think he's ready to push on just yet.
Paul, Liam, can I ask, are we coming to an end of an era in boxing? Because we've lost some world champions the last few weeks, yourself, Lee Wood, Josh Taylor in there. Is this a changing of the guard, do you think?
It could be, but sound waits for no one. I think if all them fighters you just mentioned don't move on, then you can all sit and retire as happy men. We've all been, I think everyone you've just mentioned, been world champion. So if that's the case, that's the case. But I think everyone you've just mentioned are still kind of selling arenas out. So you can't really pass the guard yet until fighters make names for themselves and start selling arenas out. So there's only a handful of fighters who can do that, and we need to take them out of the question. We need to start building bigger names in Britain, because I feel like, I don't know, the big promoters at the moment are forgetting Britain a little bit. I feel we're forgetting the big domestic shows. Not week in, week out, but every few weeks we used to have the big shows in Britain, and I think with the Saudis coming involved, and I think people are looking at the American side to it. I think we need to get the domestic scene back booming again.
Well, so there was a future prospect in there tonight, Moses Atama. Did you get to see it, and just your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just think he's special. I think if I was them, I'd just let him off the leash now. I don't think he needs any more fights like that, because he's just far too good for them. I think he's far too good for the big names, in Britain at the moment too. But I also think, if you threw a few of them names in the mix now, you're thinking, wow, what a fight. Like, imagine Moses, if Moses against Fraser, Moses against Fabio gets made, Moses against, Dillian White, Bacoli. I think, if them fights got made, people would be buzzing. So forget the foreign ones now, because they're not even giving them rounds. But I also do think he can do that to good fighters, because I think he is, a very, very good fighter.
Get your take on Eubank Jr versus Ben?
Yeah, ended up a good fight, and ended up a box fight to watch. I thought it was a bit cagey early. I thought it was unexpected early. Ben going for it, trying to be explosive. Chris trying to jab and get up the way, if that makes sense. And then I thought, once Chris put his foot to the pedal, it ended up a good fight. I do think Chris was hurt numerous times. I think myself also, I think Chris is not far from, I think he's probably only one fight away from being done, if that makes sense. But it ended up a boss fight once Chris had the fight with Conor. Do you know what I mean? I thought two of them showed loads of balls, they were fucked, and but still slugged it out and ended up a good fight.
Chris looked hurt in the third round, do you feel?
I think he looked hurt a few times in the fight. I think his balance looked, questionable. But yeah, I think Conor was hurt a couple of times. You might tell you he wasn't, but I think Conor was hurt a couple of times. I think they were both out on their feet at stages through tiredness, but it was a good enough fight for the two of them. I thought it was, it ended up a great fight to watch, and it ended up a better fight to watch than I thought it was going to be.
Did you get any appetite to see the rematch?
With the what?
Any appetite for the rematch?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, could, end up a good fight, and I think if Chris has a fight with Conor, it ends up a good fight. But I think Conor's got even more of a chance next time round, because like I said, I think Chris was 1 or 2 fights away from being done. I thought the balance was gone a little bit watching the fight, but like I say, he won. He ended up winning the fight, and so I kind of sound like I'm contradicting myself, if that makes sense. But yeah, I would like to see the rematch. Yeah.
Would you back?
Probably Chris, because I just do think, SARS he was too big for him, wasn't he? You know what I mean? When he wanted to be, I think he's too big for him.
If the call came for Conor Ben, would you take it?
That's your question. Yeah, they don't need to start. Of course I would. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Last one from me, Liam. What's next for Team Smith?
We think it'll be Callum, won't it? Then we'll wait on the news on Callum and see what's next for Callum.
So yards more likely than Benavidez at this stage?
No, not what I'm hearing, but I really don't know. I'm hearing, no, Yard seems to be, no, that's off the table. So I'm not sure, mate. I don't know. I think he's got conversations with Eddie this week. I think Eddie's in Japan at the moment, and then he's got conversations with Eddie.
Right, we'll wrap in the place here. We wrap it up.
Yeah, go on.
Thank you, Liam.
Cheers, Liam.